Hello everyone, it's Casey Vineyard here at Wonders of Wildlife National Museum and Aquarium. We are so excited to have you here as we kick off our newest mission for the month of August through Mission Conservation, Sharks. Throughout the month of August, you will get to meet multiple partners to learn exciting facts about these fascinating species. Get ready to dive into some fun facts about these amazing animals. In order to play this really fun mission, all you have to do is swim on over to our mission conservation page at www.wondersofwildlife.org/mission-conservation. That will bring you to our mission conservation webpage. So on this website, I'll bring your attention down to get the app. Once you click download, that'll take you to download the Agents of Discovery app, which you'll need to play any mission conservation mission. Once you have that app downloaded, create a user account and log in. Hit the search bar, type in Mission Conservation. This is where all of our at-home missions will pop up for you to play. So once you have that app downloaded and the mission popped up and loaded, hit play and get ready for your fun adventure. If you're looking for more shark-related activities, we're going to direct you down to another part of our website where it says Schedule of Missions and Activities. This tab will show you all of the missions we have live, including our current mission, Sharks. Under this tab, you will also find our activity guide that we have specifically made for you at home. There'll be a craft, an awesome outdoor activity, and something that you can do to promote conservation for sharks and their importance to our ecosystem. So I'm currently standing here in front of our open ocean exhibit. In this exhibit, we house many species of animals. One example would be our zebra shark. How fitting, because we're talking about sharks this month, which they are called zebra sharks because when they're young, they have stripes throughout their body. The crazy thing about that is as they grow and develop, they actually develop into spots throughout their body. So today we're going to learn about a few different species of sharks with our partner of the day. Today we have Erika Intro. She is a lead biologist here at Wonders of Wildlife. But before we bring her on, I'm going to show an introductory video. Go ahead and roll that for me.
Individually target trained, so they are fed by tongs so we can see how much each individual is feeding. My name is Erika Intro, and I am a senior biologist here at Wonders of Wildlife. My main focus is our Out to Sea exhibit, which includes our wonderful elasmobranchs of sand tigers and sandbar sharks. There are so many other sharks, and it is a diverse group that can fit from the palm of my hand, which is the pygmy shark, to the whale shark, which can reach over 40 feet. A typical day for me is going to start out purely with just observations. It'll be me and the tank. I will come down and I will just spend time watching these animals. Then I progress on to preparing their food. I will weigh every bit of food that's going to be presented to them. There's going to be vitamins, if needed medication, added to their food. And then they are individually target trained. So they are fed by tongs so we can see how much each individual is feeding. So some cool facts about sharks that people might not know is that they might look smooth to the touch, almost slippery like a dolphin, but they actually have what's called dermal denticles, which literally means skin tooth. Their skin is made up of modified teeth. Another fun thing that you can see from behind me, these sharks have teeth, and big teeth. Now, they can have up to 7 rows of teeth at a time, and since these teeth do not have roots into their gums, they fall out all the time and are constantly replaced. It's like a conveyor belt of teeth, and they can go through up to 30,000 teeth in their lives. For the public, Shark Week is just 1 week a year, but for myself, Shark Week is 52 weeks out of the year. It's something that I am always passionate about discussing. So if you see myself by the shark tank or even just walking down the hallway when you're here exploring wonders of wildlife, I encourage you to stop me and ask me any questions or cool facts or anything you want about sharks, and I would be delighted to talk with you more about these sharks and the amazing impact they have on our environment.
What an awesome introductory video. So as you can see, we have Erika with me today. We're going to do our live stream just a little bit differently today. So we're going to do interview style and learn a little bit about Erika here. So Erika, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here. Sorry, I am not a pro at this.
No, that's
So
okay.
I
Can you
am
tell
just
us a
trying
little
to
bit
mic
about
up.
yourself?
About me, well, I've been in this industry for, let's see, probably about 15 years. And I started out in Seattle, Washington. And I just got my degree and got experience, and I've moved and worked all over the country. And right now, Springfield, Missouri is where I call home at Wonders of Wildlife.
So you are a senior biologist here at Wonders of Wildlife. When does your workday start and how does it start?
Well, my workday starts, so I am thankfully an early bird. And my day starts when I jump out of bed around 4:15, 4:20-ish, because I want to make sure that I am mentally and physically prepped and ready for my workday. So my workday starts out with a bit of observation, and then we're going to go up to the kitchen. As you can see, we are working on doing food prep. What I'm preparing right there is called broadcast. And when you think of the word broadcast, you kind of think of television, but that's kind of the same idea as broadcast feeding, meaning that it goes out to everyone. So I'm not specifically targeting a particular species when we are doing our broadcast. One thing we are making sure of, though, is that we are preparing it safely and properly. So what that means is there are no really hard parts that could potentially impact these sharks or any other fish that might snag a squid. So we do something called debeaking and de-pen, which just helps make sure that everything goes in and out very smoothly and that there's no potential for impaction or danger to the animals and digestive system. Now, we also do targeted feeding for a lot of our different species, and that's going to be species that are a little bit larger. So as you can see, we have definitely a larger piece of food. Now this piece of food is going to go for one of our sandbar sharks, and as you can see, we are giving him vitamins today. We like to supplement vitamins to our food because during the freezing and thawing process, which is how we're going to get the seafood in Missouri, we do lose some nutrients, and we are going to lose some trace elements that we like to put back into the food. And this might look a little familiar if you have a dog or a cat that's not super jazzed about taking medicine. We are hiding these pills in the food, just like you would hide a pill in a piece of cheese and give to your dog. It's the same thing. But every single piece of food, every single different element that goes into these animals' diets. Everything gets weighed, and we're always watching, and we are always tracking the amount of food that's consumed by each individual through just observations that we take when we are targeting. It's kind of hard to see which grunt or snapper eats X amount of grams to record that when we're broadcasting, but that's why we also take into consideration the biomass of all the different animals that are in the tank. And there's a simple conversion where you take the whole body weight, and then you are able to put that into a formula to get how much food you should give them every day in order for them to either gain weight, lose weight, or maintain weight based off how these animals' body conditions are. That's another great thing we get to do when we are target training, like you can see I'm doing here, is we get to see these animals up close. We get to see how they are behaving when they go in for the food. Are they aggressive? Are they more like, I guess I'll take a bite of this, but I'm not super excited about it? All of those different small but important behavioral traits are recorded while we are doing these target training sessions. As you can see, we are feeding with long tongs. Nothing in that tank is hand fed, just for everybody's safety, but mostly mine. The yellow thing you're seeing down there, that is a target. Well, I'll talk a little bit more about that, but you can see Sarah is doing a bit of broadcast. And then I have one of my interns on the other side of that tank, and she is feeding a specific species of shark, while I am on the other side feeding another species of shark. That way there's no interspecies aggression. We don't want a forceful Lady and the Tramp situation happening over a piece of fish.
So question for you, are the sharks the only animals in this exhibit that you target feed?
At this time, yes, but we also have southern stingrays and Fort Goliath groupers. And there was a time when they also were target trained, but they became so used to that particular area for feeding, it no longer became something that we needed to really push. It was something that just occurred naturally during their feeding sessions.
Cool. So sorry about this. Sorry about this lag on the video, guys. We just wanted to show you this really awesome thing that they do, target feeding. So if you bear with us, we'll still continue to have Erika here answering questions for us. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot those in the chat box. So you said that for broadcast feeding, you guys depend squids and take beaks off and so on and so forth with that. What are you target feeding these animals?
So you mean what types of food? So they actually have a pretty set menu. On Tuesdays, they are given squid, which is considered their low-fat day.
Okay.
And then on Thursdays, they are given salmon, which is very fatty, and that is their vitamin day because it sort of encourages them to really eat the food. This is their snack. This is their favorite go-to item. So we take that opportunity to fill it with vitamins.
Okay, cool.
Gonna get a sip of water. 1 second.
Yeah, no worries. And so as you can see,
so
we
much.
have a shark that is target feeding inside of the water. As soon as this video is over, Erika actually has something to show us. So Erika, what do you have with us today?
So I thought that I would bring with me today another one of our targets. So it's really simple. It's something that, you could even play with your pets at home, but this is a lid to a bucket, and it just has either marker or electrical tape X's on it. And this is something that sharks can learn to really identify and recognize and come to when it's time for them to feed.
Oh, cool. That's so we saw you feeding sharks, but what kind of sharks do we have here at Wonders of Wildlife?
You'll have to excuse me. I'm not like the biggest talker, so I might just be like taking little sips.
That's totally okay. You might see me doing the same. So I know that you said we had sandbar sharks. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, so we have both sandbar, which are also known as brown, and sand tiger sharks in the exhibit that I care for. And they sound really, really similar, but they could not be more different. So the sandbar sharks are gonna be smaller. Right now they're about 5 feet long. One of them, her name is Carolina. We just took a weight on her. We did a physical on her last Wednesday, and she is only 66 pounds, but she's probably around 8 to 11 years old. So she's right where she needs to be weight-wise. And most of our sandbar sharks are that size. They range in the 70 to 100-pound range. Now the sand tiger sharks are vastly different. They're much, much longer. They're much bigger, and they're much slower. They're very sluggish, docile, but it's interesting because they look much more aggressive. The sandbars have sort of, I'd say, cute, happy-go-lucky look to them because they're fast and they have round noses and big eyes. But sand tiger sharks, they swim slow. They have tiny eyes and huge teeth. Teeth so large that they don't even close their mouths. They kind of stick out, and that is the first thing that you will see when you walk up to that tank is those teeth. And both of our sand tiger sharks, Thelma and Louise, they will let you take your time in looking at the teeth because they swim so slow, and they'll watch you as they swim past the acrylic and you're staring into the tank.
That's so neat. So can you tell me some interesting things about the sharks that you care for?
So with the sandbar and the sand tiger shark, one of the interesting things that I love telling people about is the different methods of their reproductive strategies. So pupping, if you will. I love that baby sharks are called pups. But the sand tiger sharks, they have some of the lowest birth rates of all shark species because they usually only give birth every 2 years, and at most they'll only give birth to 2 sharks, as opposed to many other shark species which commonly can have up to 100. And so the reason why the sand tiger sharks have such a low reproduction rate is because they go through something called interuterine cannibalism. And what that is female sharks have 2 uteruses or uteri, if you will. And when the embryos start developing inside of the female, the first thing that develops is basically a mouth, jaws, and teeth. So the first one to develop the fastest will consume all of the others who have not made it to that point. And that happens in each uterus, so only the strong survive. And even sometimes it'll go further than that, and one of the babies will swim to the other uterus and consume that top predator. So by the time this sand tiger shark finally gives birth after like 18 months, what comes out is already a skilled and experienced top predator.
Wow, that is so cool. And so do they lay eggs? You said they give live birth, but do they start as eggs or?
They do. They start as eggs and they feed off the yolk. But once the yolk is diminished, then it's time for them to find their own food. And that's when things get real.
They fight for it. So do they have any other cool adaptations, the sand tiger sharks?
Yeah, they do. They are the only sharks that have been known to, as people have observed, sort of bite the air. They will maintain their buoyancy like any other shark with their very oily livers because they lack swim bladders. But they are also capable of going up to the surface and taking a big gulp of air. And as they descend through the water column negatively, they will disperse all of the excess air bubbles through their gills. And they will use that air that they gulped in their stomach to regulate their position in the water column. And they can kind of burp whatever air they don't need to go lower or higher. And that's why sometimes when you walk by the tank, you'll see tiny little air bubbles coming out of their gills.
Do you know how frequently they need to go to the top and get air?
It depends on their environment. So when they're here in our exhibit, they don't necessarily have to. This is something they like to do just sort of, I don't want to say for fun, but it is something that they like to do to break up the monotony of their day. It's not necessary, so they have evolved this trait because they have been known to dwell in low oxygen environments where they're not getting the necessary oxygen that they need from the water. So they have developed this sort of like some freshwater species, goldfish do this. So if you have a goldfish at home, take a look and see if you ever see your goldfish go up to the surface and take a bloop right out of the air and go back down. It's something that goldfish has in common with our 10-foot long, probably 300-pound sand tiger shark.
Which is so cool. So you are a senior biologist here at Wonders of Wildlife. That is such a huge accomplishment. What did it take for you to get where you are in this position now?
Well, without giving away too much about my age, I did start back in 2004. I did start out just as a volunteer at the Seattle Aquarium, which is where I grew up. And from there, I was always associated with an aquarium or a science center or some sort of laboratory that had fish or aquaculture facility. It was always something while I was going to school, while I was working a full-time job to support myself and my dreams. And once I got to a certain part in my career and in my schooling, I was able to take on internships. And then the internships turned into jobs. And then these jobs have taken me to Los Angeles, the Florida Keys, and beautiful Springfield, Missouri.
So is it a very competitive field?
Unfortunately, it is very competitive because, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have had people respond to me telling them what I do with, oh my gosh, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a marine biologist. And I'm just like, why didn't you? Why didn't you do it? Why? And I always get, oh, well, you know, I wanted to make a lot more money, or I didn't want to move, or there was always something. But I get so often people wanted to do this, and enough people wanted to do this as kids like myself that they went through all the proper channels. And now there is this huge surplus of marine biologists out there, and there's only X amount of jobs. So that's the limiting factor. And so you do have to kind of get creative with what you're passionate about. And marine biology is a huge field, and there's so many different sort of avenues you can take. And my current and my desired path here in the aquarium industry is something that is just one of a ton of other options you can take.
So since it took you all of this time, and I just want to know, what is some advice that you would give to yourself or another young kid that decided that they wanted to be a marine biologist?
So I would definitely tell them a few things. Some important things is if you can, get your own fish tank and start learning about how to take care of just either a goldfish or a betta or some little, those cool neon tetras, because they'll give you your first experience with live birth. Like me, that was a shock when I was a kid. All of a sudden there was tiny little neon tetras in my tank. Where'd they come from? Oh my gosh. But also, you know, I look at education kind of like armor. And so the more education and the more knowledge that you gain, the thicker your armor will be for whatever life has to throw at you. And I really do believe that education is power. And if you want to be a successful biologist or really successful in any of the STEM fields, I think that it is so important to go out and to at least get your bachelor's and get a really strong foundation of math, physics, and chemistry, because you're going to need all of that, unfortunately, to be a successful biologist.
Okay, well, after receiving that advice, what is something that kid Erika would tell you?
She would probably stamp her feet because young Erika was not a fan of math. I didn't fall in love with math until I got to calculus, and all of a sudden everything clicked. But young Erika would definitely want me to look at the bigger picture and definitely be more appreciative of where I started to where I am now, and not, I suppose, get bogged down with the stresses of being an adult, 9 to 5. But just being like, you work with sharks. You get paid to work with sharks. Yay!
Celebration.
Yes, like much more celebration, much more happy dances, and you know, less migraines and more pride.
You have come a long way. So let's go back to talking about sharks. What about sharks that found interested by you? What made you interested in sharks?
So sharks, for me, are real life superheroes because they have all the senses that humans have and that mammals have. You know, they have the sight, touch, smell, hearing, and tasting. That one too. They have all of these things which they use to sort of navigate their way through their environments, but they also have a sixth sense. They also have electroreception, and that to me is, honestly, it's a superpower. And the more I learn about it, which it's called ampullae of Lorenzini, mouthful, but it's basically these pores. It's like the pores on your face. Imagine if they are filled up with jelly and this jelly can sense her heartbeat. And that's how I would find her. But it goes so much deeper than that. I mean, they use this electrosensory to sort of navigate their way through their migratory patterns, and they're feeling the Earth's magnetic pull. And that is how they are able to sort of make these long distant treks, thousands of miles. And scientists are finding out more and more how they're using this special superpower to become, you know, the most successful in whatever niche these particular species are inhabiting.
So I see that you have something else with us today. Can you talk a little bit about what we have here?
I do. And so I'm going to show this up to you. This is a shark jaw. We're so short. So right here, you can kind of call it right off the bat. You know, if I show you this, you know that this is some species of predatory shark. And one thing that I think is really, really cool that many, many sharks have, and this goes for the sharks that I care for, the sandbar and the sand tiger here at Wonders of Wildlife, is their ability to treat these shark teeth like a conveyor belt, just sort of a limitless supply of tooths little twofers. They're not like us, where if I fall down and knock my 2 front teeth out, I am not going to get 2 more without dental assistance. But with these guys, I'll turn this around so you can kind of see. There are rows and rows here of shark teeth that are in the back and waiting to go. So as time goes on, these front teeth are going to loosen. And once they are used up for whatever purpose they are used for, whether it is defense or whether it is preying on food, it will fall out, and then the next row up will move into place, and it will go like that for their whole lives. You know, the sand tiger sharks, they have 7 rows of teeth, and that's why we're always finding just shark teeth, because they have that cartilaginous skeleton. So the only thing that gets left behind that's ossified, meaning made into hard bone, is going to be those teeth. So the sand tiger shark, that shark will go through 30,000 teeth in its lifetime. And when we're diving, it's kind of fun because we get to find little teeth here and there and just put them in our little pockets.
How awesome. So we are running close to time here. I do want to wrap this up with one final question. Why do you think it's important to have Shark Week every year, and what is something that people can do to protect our planet's sharks?
Of course, Shark Week. So I understand that for my colleagues and for people in the scientific community, Shark Week can be a little over the top, a little cheesy, a little more dramatic than it needs to be, but I get it, I do. But it's still a fantastic thing to have. And I think it's fantastic that Agents of Discovery are shining a whole month spotlight on sharks, because I think it just constantly needs to be brought to people's attention that our populations of sharks worldwide are in serious trouble. And it's something that needs to be talked about and needs to be brought to people's attention, because the media focuses so much on non-fatal incidents that occur with sharks. But honestly, only 4 to 6 people worldwide are fatally affected by sharks a year. Whereas on the other side of that, 100 million sharks are taken out by humans every single year. And that is something that if you look back to the sand tiger shark, who only has maybe 2 pups every couple of years, and that's only after she's a certain age, that's not something that's sustainable. It's not something that we can come back from. So one way that people can help, if, yeah, sharks are having a terrible time, but what can I do? I'm in Springfield, Missouri. Well, one thing is you can be very smart about your choices of the shark's food. So if you are a seafood lover, if you like that shrimp scampi or that fish fry and chips, one thing you could do is educate yourself on whether or not they're sustainably harvested, and if the practices of collecting those certain animals are damaging to that shark's environment, or really the environment in general. And it's easy to kind of find out this information. You could look at certain programs, like Monterey Bay has the Seafood Watch program. And if you go on that, it's set up like a traffic signal. So there's green, yellow, red. And obviously you can correlate that with green means go, this is sustainably harvested, this doesn't hurt the environment. If you want seafood, this is what you should eat. Yellow is definitely for like special occasions, like proceed with caution. And red is something that is damaging. It's something that's not sustainable. It's something that we should all take into consideration with avoiding when we are looking to consume seafood. And that's just a really simple thing that I think would help out sharks, no matter if you're on the coast or if you're landlocked.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was so great to have you on here to talk about what it's like to be in this field.
Yeah.
So that is all the time that we have for the day. Thank you so much for joining us, Erika. It was a pleasure to have you here to talk about these amazing species. Be sure to join us next week as we continue to talk about our mission for the month of August, sharks. Throughout August, you'll get to learn super exciting facts about these apex predators. So join us next week to meet Dr. Dean Wessler, better known as the Shark Man. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next Tuesday. Thank you.